Alright guys, I am trying to load up this video and it's not working, so I have to do it this way. So please be patient with me, and here we go. Alright guys, we're back. We're here to do Married at First Sight. Season 17, I think this is episode 6. No, episode 5. Thank you. Yeah, so I think I'm going to label this that I'm not going to give Lauren or Orion a pass. So they are the couple of the hour because of the mess that they, have going on. And I guess I'll start out with them first. No, maybe I'll just try to follow the episode. Let me try to follow the episode, and then when I get to them, I will comment. So looking at my videos, we're looking at Emily and Brennan doing the water sports. She's saying that she has a hurt wrist, and he's eager to go to do this water sport. And so she's game, and she powers through. She figures out, how to get on the, I forget what they call it. But anyway, I was impressed. I like Emily. I think she's cool. I'm a party, girl myself. I didn't do the whole thing like she did in college. I found out about having a good time and just really enjoying life when I went to the military. So that's where, she and I converged, and we're walking, on that path, together. So, I don't remember. Oh, she was saying that she, her hair was matted. And we're going to get to that, in a later video. I guess that was the other thing. But Brendan overall seemed like he was cool and he was happy that he had a gal pal, to go and do some adventurous things with. So the next video that I have up is Lauren and Orion. She's telling us that she, after their racial conversation at the hot tub, I think they were at, and he was offended because of her misunderstanding about red skin. So she said that she had spent most of the night away from him because she knew how upset he was, and that she was upset too. So she just wanted to be able to take that time to give them space, and then she made sure that she was back in bed early enough so that, he didn't know that she wasn't there when he woke up. Some people took offense at that. We are not in their situation, and we have to give them grace for trying to meander this situation as they will. For black men, and I'm thinking about the one guy, Yanni, I think he is on the Random Guys podcast. He's a dickhead. And he's up there talking about, oh, well, if we mad, then no, you're going to get in the bed. Because if you don't want to get in the bed, then you got to go. See, that he's lucky that he got a wife when he did. Because if he was single today, I don't know if he'd ever be able to get married, again. Because the situation has changed. The stuff that my grandfather, my dad, my uncles, all that stuff that they were able to get away with, child, you can't do that no more. We're living in whole complete new different times. And if you bring that old-fashioned, old-thinking, patriarchal male B and S to the conversation, then you're not gonna be successful today. Okay, just like in business and everything has changed. We're living in a whole new world, and you can't bring their teachings and their life experiences to this dating, this new, dating situation. So this is another reason why I'm trying to give you guys this opportunity to really think about things differently, because we are living in different times. So the thing that they are at is called the Cenote, and if I can find it to put the definition and how to spell it in the description box, then I will. So it ended up that when they got there, they discussed to us what they had experienced, and I really appreciate Lauren's conversation. And on a cerebral level, I think that Orion does too. But I don't know how far their conversation actually penetrates with him, which really annoys me, because when I speak, like if I were Lauren and I were doing all of that effort and energy to communicate myself, and then 5 minutes later, I've got to deal with you on some whole new, craziness, and you don't take into account anything that I've already said and done with you, then yeah, I'm going to have a problem. So right now, I actually have a problem with Orion. I listen to him, and I just listen to him. It doesn't go past a certain level with me, because what she's saying doesn't go past a certain level with him. So the next clip that I have up is Claire and Cameron. They're going on a date, and they have this it's almost like a reverse paintball. So instead of the guns, they're in this room, and they are able to sling paint and stuff all over the walls, each other. And so they really kind of get into it. And I heard some other people, they thought that was a time that she could have been offended, but she actually just took a moment and said, okay, I'm going to have some fun. And that's exactly what they did. And it kind of took their relationship, to a different dynamic, which I appreciate, because it's hard to watch this show when they are not getting along and you don't see the effort being put in by both people. They don't understand how torturous, this is to watch. So the guys and the girls, they get together. I actually thought that the girls' conversation was more substantive than the guys. I really appreciated the girls sharing. Like Lauren, she didn't overshare. She gave them just enough information to let them know that, yeah, they're attracted to each other, they're having fun. But they also have to meander through stuff just like everybody else. And so Becca, she was saying, how really cool it is to, be with Austin. One of the things that I heard her say in that conversation, and so it's in 2 videos. I'm not sure which one, she said it in, because I have Guys and Girls Continue. But she did say that when she wants to have serious conversation, then Austin would kind of deflect and want to talk about, something else. So I think that may be something that may be coming up, for them in their future, conversation. The other thing is that the women were giving Claire information about her own husband that she wasn't even paying attention to. They were like, oh, girl, he had his arm all over you, and he was doing this, and he was doing that. And she was like, oh, he was? And so Claire is so concerned about her feelings that she's really not thinking about Cameron and how he is doing in this whole situation. And so one of the things, and I'm going to skip ahead, but she did tell him in a later conversation that she did appreciate his effort, and she's sorry that she wasn't there to meet him, where he was. So they were giving her suggestions about being able to do just little things, accept him. If he's putting his arm around you, then lean into him, girl. If he got his hand on your knee, then put your hand on his knee. Or give him something. If he's giving you something, then do what you can to give him something back. I don't know why people had to tell her this, but okay. Emily wasn't even in a relationship before. And she's even able to kind of, move out of her space and kind of give, Brennan some of his so that he could be comfortable, as well. So the guys, they're talking, and I'm not impressed with Orion. I'm not even going to talk about him. I did appreciate Cameron's conversation. He's attracted to his wife, but he finds it difficult, that when he's in a mood, she's in a mood. When they are stuck in their own, thing, I guess, internally in their heads, and it's clashing. So he's saying that she's good at communicating, but she's not good at communicating to him what she needs from him. So I thought that was fair. But, and I'm going to skip ahead because on the after show, Claire said that she felt some kind of way because he was talking with the guys about things that she felt he should have felt comfortable talking to her about. And I take issue with that because Claire, even on camera, isn't behaving in a way that would make me comfortable, talking to her. So I think in her head, she thinks that he should be able to push through that. But in real life, he's comfortable talking with the guys, especially if they are out there, communicating themselves in a vulnerable, way. So then we go to Austin. He kind of kept it, brief that, they're, enjoying each other. He appreciates his wife, but he didn't really go into depth as to his relationship, with her. And who else is left? Brennan said that he's cool with Emily. He thinks she's a catch, which I actually thought was really cool. Because before, I thought that he might have been trying to judge her and look at her as to like, why wouldn't other men want to be with her? What's wrong with her that, and evaluating her from there instead of just accepting her, the way that she is. Because this is a whole different process. I think, again, I was saying in the last video, I think they bring their single selves, to this process, and you're going to have to be willing to turn yourself inside out. Because that's the relationship that you're in. You're in an inside-out relationship. So you're going to have to approach it, that way. So the next video is Becca and Austin. They're on the hammock. They're talking, and he's conveying to her his communication to the guys. She's telling him what she told the girls. And I think that he's understanding that he needs to be more comfortable speaking to the guys about the truth about where they are in their relationship. And if people feel some kind of way about that, then okay, fine. And I actually appreciated, her conversation, about that. So, Claire and Cameron in the hot tub, and he's telling her the conversation he had with the guys and that back and forth. And then that's when she lets him know how much she appreciates him. And he, I think, I felt like their conversation together was receptive and at a better level than we've seen thus far. So I would encourage you guys to go down there and look at that video and get that information. So, Lauren and Orion eating ice cream. So she remembered that he liked strawberry ice cream. And she got him some, and they had, a really good, moment there. So I actually encourage y'all to go and look at that, as well. So they were supposed to do a boat ride, and it started raining when they were on their way there. And on their way there, Becca had to help Emily with her hair. And one of the things that I understood, I'm not a weave person either. I don't know how to handle that whole thing. So I would have probably been in the lane of ignorance that she was at. But because black women have to deal with our own hair, I think that I probably would have been able to figure it out. I would have put conditioner on it and then, been willing to stand there and brush it out. But I don't think that she's used to dealing with what is it? Artificial? Well, no, not because the hair is not artificial, but the installation is. So I don't think she's accustomed to dealing with it on that level. She's in the United States, and if something goes wrong, she can just make an appointment the next day and go and get it taken care of. So that was interesting that she had to, and Becca was able to support her, in that. So I appreciate that part of it. I also appreciated, was this one where Cam had gotten up and then, I don't know if it was in this video or the next one, where he got up and wanted to stretch his legs, and then Claire was like, okay, why'd you move? And he was like, I don't want to stretch my legs. And she was like, oh, well, you could stay here. and let him know that it was okay for him to use her as his pillow to relax. And he said, oh, I made an assumption. So I know now that, I have this ability. So I thought that was cute. And then I also wondered too, but I'll ask that, when I get to the bad hair day. But, so then, because they couldn't go to the boat, they ended up going back to the resort for lunch. And then Becca pulled out her questions. And I thought this was good, that they were able to just ask them, not like serious, deep questions, but questions that were deep enough that they would be able to kind of bond and get to know each other, better. And then the spouses would be able to see how they answered, the questions, get their vibe, and that kind of thing. So I thought that was really, good. And then during this time, Claire put her hand on Cameron's knee. And like I told y'all in the last video, it was so uncomfortable for me. But Cameron took it because at that time he was starved child. Any affection that she was giving him, he was down for it. So I ain't mad. If that's, something that Cameron was cool with, then I'm cool with it too. I also thought that his answer was interesting to a question that he was asked. And he said that the person that he is now doesn't connect back to his memories of who he was at a previous time. And I don't know if that's true, because even though I've grown and evolved, I'm still who I am. I mean, the basic me is still me. I'm still curious about life. I still, experience some of the same things in childhood that I'm experiencing, in adulthood, which really pisses me off on another level. But that's another, story. But yeah, so I'm still connected, to some of the stuff that I was in my childhood, and I'm also growing and becoming a different, and more mature, person now. So I kind of understood what he was trying to say, but then not. But then Claire said that she understood that for him to be able to communicate himself on that level was something that she understood to be very important, and that she really respected and appreciated. So that was one answer. I'm trying to think of something else that somebody said. If I do remember, then I will say something about it. So Emily's in the hotel, and the guy that they got to help her with her hair was incompetent. And Married at First Sight needs to be embarrassed that they were not able to go get and put her with a professional stylist. Okay, that was just ridiculous. I mean, y'all said I paid all that money for them people to go to the resort, and then you got this man coming in here pulling in her hair, and didn't even come up there with his own palette of hair care, essentials. I mean, as a chef, if I were going over to somebody's house, then I have to take my knives and stuff, with me. I'm not gonna go to a job, and then not take my knives and stuff with me. So that was incompetent on Married at First Sight's part. So the boat ride. So this time everybody gets on the boat. It's really nice. We're having really good conversations. It seems like people are really trying to get in touch with their partners and with the people that they're in the group with. So I thought that was really good. And I encourage you guys to go and look at what people were talking about. Looking at Emily and Brennan was saying that, he really appreciates her thus far. She's working her way into his circle, and I'm starting to feel her frustration that, well, what do I have to do? I'm your whole wife. So what is it? Can you give me, some more information that's going to help me be able to get us to the space, that we need to be? So I don't know. I mean, I'm up and down about them. They're still questionable to me. Lauren and Orion, I don't know how far they're going to make it. I don't know why people mess up what they got on a honeymoon. This is supposed to be the easiest part. And when you turn the honeymoon into something that's work, then you're moving in the wrong direction. So after the boat ride, and I'm at 19 minutes, okay. So after the boat ride, we get to Lauren and Orion having dinner, and this is where the conversation comes up. So now she's saying to him that she's comfortable. She's now thinking about, okay, what is it like? What is it going to be like, for us when we finally, consummate, the marriage? And he seemed like he was down. They were having a whole conversation. So her thing, the word that she used, fellatio, is the thing that the woman does to the man. So the thing that the man does to the woman is a totally different word that she didn't know. So I'm going to put the definition to both of them in the description box, because I want, if you guys are going to have this conversation, to actually have it appropriately. Don't do what Lauren did, okay? So then he was like, yeah, you're right, I'm a giver, and, I like to go to head to toe, and they were, getting all into that whole thing. And then they started talking about, well, when's the last time you had sex? So for him, he said it's been a while, it's been a year and a half, and then for her, it was like a couple of months. So then this is where the conversation to me actually started breaking down, because I don't think that they were really listening to each other. And then I don't think that Lauren was, either one of them actually languaged themselves very well. So what I heard from Orion was, when she told him, she actually was aware enough, I guess she felt a shift, that she asked him, well, how do you feel about the fact that it's been 2 months since I had sex? And then he said that he was uncomfortable. And so he said that they are different in that he values himself and he just doesn't want to give himself away, indicating that she is a person who would. And so she said that she also values herself, and, sex means more to her when it's more intimate. But my thing is, with her, especially during the times that we're living in, casual sex is not cool, especially at a certain age. I mean, if you're in your 20s and you still haven't figured that out, okay, cool. She's in her 30s, and he's 27. So he would expect for her to be more intelligent about her sexuality in her 30s than in her 20s. So I actually would give him that. The other thing I think she missed is when he said that he values the connectivity more than he values just having sex. So if you just had sex 2 months ago, you also value just having sex. I mean, I'm not saying that she doesn't value having quality, sex as far as, like in a relationship. But if you just had sex 2 months ago, you also like carnal. You also are a carnal person who enjoys the moment. And he's telling you that he doesn't get down like that. He's not an I'm just in the moment kind of person. So when you come up to him and you say that, yeah, I value the same thing that you value, but then you just had sex 2 months ago, then you're not really saying that you value the same things. I mean, you got to be able to see that, Lauren. And I think that she's enthusiastic in where she is in her relationship, but I don't know if she's really connected to the stuff that's coming out of her mouth. One of the things that I'm remembering is somebody asked her something about people that she could be vulnerable with, and this is the second time in her conversation that she said about people who are close to her not judging her. So she said that in the conversation with him about her mom. She gave him an extreme example. She was like, yeah, I could have been doing cocaine, and then told her about my night, and she'd have been like, okay, so let me hear more about it. And then she would then be able to kind of give her an appropriate response, so she didn't feel like she was being judged by her activities, and then she could still engage in a conversation, with her mother about whatever it was that she felt about what happened. And then at the table, when they were doing the 20 questions, she said that her mother was her first vulnerability, but then her sister. And she said that they have the same temperament and her sister doesn't judge her. So that was something that Orion missed twice. So he's really key and keen on people picking up on stuff that he has to say that's important to him, that he needs to be able to hear what Lauren is saying. And the fact that he keeps judging her is something that's going to push her away from him. And like I said, this is twice I've heard it, that she said this. And he's not picking up that part of what she's laying down. And then they're at the table again. So then he said, he says, oh, she says, yeah, I felt the same way too, because he told her that when he was matched, it was something that he took seriously. And she said, yeah, I took it seriously too. I think if I were him, the language should have been all the way back to the process. So once you start this process, and I don't know what's going on with people, we're 17 seasons into this, and it's like people continue to show up being extra stupid. When you show up for this process, you are off the market. If you're not off the market, don't sign up for the process. So I totally understand why he would be feeling some kind of way, because she had only had sex 2 months ago. I don't know how long the process takes, but if it takes, yeah, she should have been within that window. And she was like, oh, well, I didn't know I was going to be matched. But you started the process. So that alone should have put you in the mindset that, okay, until I get the word that I'm not going to, be picked, then I'm just going to be cool. And then if I'm not picked, then I'm just going to have to get back out there and do, whatever it is that I'm going to do. So with Emily, on the after show, she said that she could identify with Lauren because I guess Lauren had sex when she was on vacation recently. And she ran into, something. But again, I mean, with all of where we are today, do you really want to expose yourself to something and then put yourself in this process, and then now you want this man to accept you when you just exposed yourself, just 2 months ago? So, I mean, you got sexually transmitted diseases, you've got all kinds of stuff, emotional and mental, that, yeah, people don't want to have to deal with. And so I was disappointed in her answer. I thought that Orion could have done a better job. He could have expressed his disappointment and his apprehensions about, sex without all of that drama. And he has this whole thing that he does with his chest, He's all, and I know a guy in San Francisco that does that. And it's really kind of off-putting to me because it reminds me of this dude that I know here. This dude, he's black. And I know him socially. And he actually treats everybody else. I'm talking about white, Asian, blue, green, and yellow, and purple better than he would treat me, his sister. His sister in skin and heritage and all of that. And I've known him, since I actually started trying to do social things, in San Francisco. And he actually was a better person when I first met him than what he is now. And this joke is about cancer. I don't want to know how you become a worse person after cancer than you were before you got it. But that's where he is. And when I watch him, with his whole chest thing, and the rocking back and forth that Orion does, it's really off-putting. I mean, I don't even know what you're doing because you're not being and showing your manliness. If that's supposed to be one of your man things, then you're failing because Orion is acting more like a woman than his wife at this point because he's getting too far into his feelings. I'm not saying he can't feel the way that he feels. I understand that. But the depth that he's going into his feelings is something. And then, I'm remembering, a couple of, like an episode ago or so, when they started the honeymoon, she was like, oh, we still strangers and this, that. He was like, oh, no, you're not a stranger. But then on the after show, he was saying, well, at this point, we're still strangers. So he does double speak. And, that has to be monitored. Because anytime I find myself, so I'll give you an example. So that white dude that I was telling you guys about, that, my friend, well, my former friend, that, I still love him, I do, but I'm cool with letting him go because I'm just tired. I'm tired of his mess. But anyway, when we were in a relationship, if he told me something, then yeah, okay, I'm keeping that. Well, the way that we ended our friendship has compelled me that I don't have to hold his secrets anymore. So secrets that I really never intended on telling other people, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and tell it because he has no respect for me and I don't have any obligation to have any more respect for him. And so I've gone back on my word that this is something I was just going to keep between me and him, child. Yeah, no, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing it. And I admit it. So I have gone back, on my word because of the way that, he had decided that he just wasn't going to give me respect. And I promise you, if you're not going to give me respect, then I ain't going to give you none. You're not going to be able to count on me to get, I ain't going to be that wilting flower that's going to die with your secrets, okay? I'm not going to do that, child. So if you don't want me to tell what you got going on, then you better have some respect for me because, yeah, girl, it's going to be all out in the street. Anyway, so where are we? So with Orion. Oh, okay. So I put regrets for Lauren and Orion, for Orion and Lauren in there because there was a sneak peek. And in the sneak peek, it showed that they were talking to Cal, and he's asking them if they want to stay together, if they want to get a divorce. It's so dramatic that I initially was like, oh, okay, they ain't going to make it. But then when I went back and actually looked at some of the other sneak peeks, it seems like they actually pushed through past the honeymoon. So even though I still don't have high hopes for this couple, I'm going to just, be a spectator and watch it, right along, with everybody else. So I got the after show loaded up, and I hope you guys are enjoying that as promised. I don't know what else I was going to talk about. I'm still going to do my video about what I see happening, in Palestine. Oh, okay, thank you. So I'm at 32 minutes, oh Lord. So now we're getting into a longer video. So, my problem with Lauren is I think that she has fallen into this trap that we as black people can fall into, trying to assimilate into a white society. We want to make white people comfortable in their mess instead of just calling them out. So that's one thing about where Orion is, that they need to be checked. I mean, if you need to check one of them jokers on what's coming out of their mouth, then you do it. Figure out how to get it done. You can do it. I mean, the communication opportunities are there, and I'm encouraging all indigenous people everywhere. I don't care if you're in South Africa, wherever you are, in Canada, in Mexico. The indigenous need to stand up and put white people in their place when they are being inappropriate, or anybody else. Because when Lauren, again, I said this before in the video, when they were on that bus, she should have been that comfortable laughing when Cameron said going off the reservation. We know what that means. But with Orion there and her husband, she should have been more cautious and, been like, oh, okay. Instead of doing all that giggling and laughing, she could have, helped him and been like, okay, so we doing reservation, talk? How do you feel, about that? I would have done that. And she just kind of laughed it off, and he didn't. So when they got to the Redskin comment, and then she did that mess, that was just stupid. We as black people in America have assimilated so far that we don't even know how to be sensitive to other marginalized people when we're in a conversation with them. And I do understand that they were in the honeymoon and they probably, had been having drinks and stuff, and she was just in a good mood and he took it, the wrong way. So again, he goes too deep in his feelings. Nobody's saying that he can't be offended. He can let her know, okay, that's one of the things that, I can't, child. Just like with the N-word with you, if somebody says it's going to make you feel a certain kind of way, then that's what Redskin, is for us. And then he could have educated her, and that could have been a whole different situation. Instead of him, I want to say it was on the after show where he said it took him 2 hours. It took you 2 hours. 2 hours, Orion, to get to this. This is something you signed yourself up for. If you wanted to be with a Native American woman, then that's the woman that you should have been with, because she would have understood Redskin. You wouldn't have had to explain it to her. It would have been just another thing that you guys, would have understood. But you put yourself out there and said that you were willing to marry someone that is out of your culture. So this is something that you're going to have to expect. You're going to have to be able to language yourself and explain yourself. Nobody's just going to be able to reach inside of your brain and then pull something out. So it's almost to the point where, like I said, marginalized people can't even talk to each other anymore. And it kind of puts me to where we are with the Palestinians and with the Israelis. Because there are indigenous Jews, Ethiopian Jews, black Hebrews, Arab Jews that are in Israel that don't have the same equal rights as white Jews. So what they're trying to create is an ethno-state. And they're using the Holocaust in order for them to be able to do this. They're also using the Holocaust to be able to create and live next to apartheid. Well, in and next to, because the people, the Palestinians and all the other Jews, all the other non-white Jews are not equal in Israel. They love to, tout themselves as a democracy in the Middle East, but they're an ethno-state. They're an apartheid state, and they are committing genocide right now. And if you make a comment on YouTube, child, they are to the point that they are, my channel could be canceled, because of where I am. As far as my views, about the Palestinians and what's going on, right now. And it's censorship. So if you study history and you actually go back and you look at what was happening back in Germany, where Hitler was rising to power, if the Germans found out that you had something to say about the Fuhrer, child, they tell on you. And you as a German would be called off to the same concentration camp that the Jews was at. So it wasn't just Jews that were affected, by the Holocaust. There were all kinds of people that were affected by the Holocaust. And people who spoke out against what Germany was doing were thrown into concentration camps right along with the Jews. So anybody who thinks that they're safe, even if you think that you're going to go along with it, you're never going to be safe, because it's never going to leave you. It's always going to be a stain that you're never going to be able to wash off your soul if you sit there and you watch apartheid as human rights abuses and you do nothing. You sit up and wave a flag for it. Okay? And I'm speaking, again, as a black woman who was affected by Jim Crow. Okay? So, again, I'm 53, and I got to Alabama when I was about 3 years old. So you talk about 73. And when my grandmother would take me to the doctor, we had to go through a separate entrance. We couldn't go through the same entrance that the white people went through. And that was in the 70s. And the 1964 Civil Rights Act was in 1964. And here I am in the 70s, still being affected by Jim Crow. And this is the kind of thing that white people don't want to take responsibility for. And this is the kind of stuff I'm going to be talking about when I'm out here in these streets. Because this is the kind of stuff that we need to bring to bear Anybody in the diaspora, this is the time we're going to have to stand up for each other. We can't sit here and watch all the mess that's happening against the people and then not stand up for human rights. And because you got your Maserati, or because you driving your Lamborghini, or because you Beyonce and Jay-Z and all this old craziness, that you can't stand up, for human rights. I don't even understand, what kind of world that we're living in, where we're electing people like Hakeem Jeffries, who's so comfortable being around white people that he's sitting up skinning and grinning with an autocrat and a genocider like Bibi Netanyahu, and then he thinks that he's able to come back to the black community and be able, to rub elbows and, be like, hey man, what's up? No man, you got to go. You got to go over there with them same people that you over there rubbing elbows with while you approving genocide and apartheid. That goes for Gregory Meeks. That goes for Barbara Lee. That goes for Wes Moore, the governor over in Maryland. That goes for Stacey Abrams. That goes for anybody in the political sphere that wherever it is that you are, in your church or wherever you at. Stop putting pressure on these people to start opening up their mouths. If you're a Christian and you know that this is bad, then go to your church and tell them, hey, we need to stand up against apartheid. We need to stand for our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. I mean, this is ridiculous that we have to sit here and listen and look at this mess. And if the state of Israel is allowed to get away with this murder, with this carnage, I'm telling you, it's going to change me as a human being. It really is. Y'all don't want that. Y'all really honestly don't. You want me to stay connected. You want me to stay a human. You want me to still continue to care about what happens. And if I'm able to do that, it's going to be because I see other human beings out here acting and standing up for other human beings. So I was really disappointed in Lauren. I mean, as a black woman, some of the conversations, some of this misunderstanding that she and Orion are having is just ridiculous. And I put it on him, as well. I mean, I think he is just being, just too feminine and then trying to put it down on masculinity and say, oh, well, this is my people. Yeah, some of that, lands, but the depth of it is just, too much. Woo! So, I don't know. I think I got everybody. If I didn't, child, then I have to get it on the next video. So, I'm at 42 minutes. I had no intention on talking this much. And I hope that anybody who's hanging there, with me this long, I appreciate your time and attention. And I'll talk to you guys later. They need to be checked.